Hi, this is Kate Northrup, and I'm here with Adam Baker and in Portland, Oregon. And Adam has had an amazingly inspiring story with money. And as part of the launch of my new book, Money, A Love Story, I'm interviewing experts and amazing people I know on their own money love story so that you can hear their version and get some inspiration. So first, I would love to ask you, what did you learn about money growing up?
That's a good question. I might have only been asked that one other time. So I came from a very hardworking middle-class family. So one thing I definitely learned from my parents, and the biggest asset I learned from them, I guess you would say, is to be hardworking. Yep. So they were very hardworking, and we were provided for. So I don't have a rags to riches. I have a middle class to debt trap to middle class story, I guess is my story. So I was provided for. We were given basically what we wanted for Christmas, you know what I mean, with a few exceptions. We had a house. I always felt comfortable. So I learned that. Now, besides that, which was demonstrated for me, there was nothing. And I think that that is also an equally important part of the equation. I didn't learn anything about it in high school. I never had money talks with my parents. I never knew how much my mom or dad made, besides just being able to say my mom's a teacher, so I can kind of guess when I get older. We never budgeted. I was never involved in the household budget or the decision making for money. So it wasn't that it was super taboo. We just never came up. We just never talked about it. But at the same time, my parents demonstrated to me that you're going to have to work and you're going to have to work hard. And they both were very hard workers. And so I got the good and the bad. Yeah. Great. And then after, I know your story, but for the people listening, what happened after you went to college and got out of college and then you had this amazing adventure? Sure. Once again, there was nothing that was a catalyst that snapped us into bad financial habits. It was just slowly over time. And I think one of the things I credit it to is because my parents provided for me and we had that middle class life, when I went to college, I thought that's what I deserved. And so I was immediately trying to live into the lifestyle that my parents were able to afford us growing up when I was on my own in college, which obviously isn't the case. So when my wife and I got engaged, I like to joke that we were collecting loans. We had, when we got engaged, I had a loan for the ring. I had credit cards. She had credit cards. She had student loans. I had student loans. It was basically everything but a mortgage we had. Car loans, we each had a little bit of a car loan left. And I actually forget the exact number, but it was about $86,000 counting student loans. Over $20,000 of it, which was just non-student loan debt, just spending. At 22, 23, getting married, that's a significant amount.
Yeah, it is.
And so, and I know you know the story, but we set a goal that we wanted to tackle that $23,000 because we said the student loan's going to take us a while. We understand that. That's a lot of money. We're just now finishing college. This is going to take us a few years. But what we can control is our irresponsibility, and that 22 to 23,000 really reflected that irresponsibility. So that was our first goal. We're going to knock this out. We're going to make up for this spending more than we earn. I mean, personal finance, it comes down to some pretty basic things,
very straightforward.
And we were just spending more than we owned in any avenue we could.
So I mean, the math part of it is really straightforward, but the emotional part of it isn't so straightforward. And what I love that I read a post of yours a while back when you were writing on Man vs. Debt, and now he's a filmmaker and so awesome. You should really check out the film I Am Fine, Thanks. And is it just, what's the website for that?
I'm Fine, Thanks movie.com.
Okay.
Yeah, just Google it.
Beautiful film, super inspirational, great stories in there. I watched it last year. It was amazing. So on your blog, though, you wrote a great post, which I reference in the book, about an unconventional way of looking at debt and which ones to pay off first. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. For a while, when I was looking online and studying resources, there were two traditional ways to pay off debt. There was pay off the highest interest first. And this is what accountants and maybe your dad and people who are good at math or will tell you to do. And that's just you always pay the highest interest first because you will save more money over the length of your debt if you do that. What many of these people I don't think have done is worked with people who have that emotional side to their debt.
Yeah.
Because if debt was just a math problem, we would all be debt free and we'd all be financially successful.
Exactly.
Because there's very few people that can't do the basic math. That compound interest works against you or can work for you, and credit card interest double digits is bad. Like, everyone knows this, so it's no longer a problem of logic. It's a problem of behavior. So I didn't tend to like that highest interest first because it didn't work for me, and the thousands of people I've been able to interact with, it works with very few people.
Yeah.
So then there was another one, and it was coined by Dave Ramsey, who I enjoy. And it was the Debt Snowball. And it was always pay the least amount first. So that if you have 10 debts, then you can easily show momentum and get the number of debts down so you can control it and you can focus. And there's lots of good motivational benefits for that. Courtney and I used that at a certain point in our journey. But we decided to do something that was kind of in the middle and a little bit foo-foo, if you'll let me use that word, which was we listed
I love foo-foo.
We listed our debts and we said, which ones do we hate the most? Like, literally, which ones make us angry? Which ones make us emotional? And in some instances, a loan to a parent can totally change that relationship. Who cares if your credit card's 10% more interest? Who cares if there's a Guitar Center loan that's just a little bit less than it? If paying off that $1,000 you owe to your dad or to your mom is going to change your relationship with them, then that's the one we encourage people to go for.
That changes everything.
So literally, 1 through 10, we say how much. Hate is such a bad word, but like, how much do you hate this debt? How much does it frustrate you? How much discomfort? And people rate their debts. And then we say, attack the highest one. And if that changes for you, attack another one. And we found out that people are most motivated when they can pay off those most frustrating debts because they feel exponentially freer. Than if they just paid off the highest interest or the lowest balance.
And so, I mean, the premise of my book is that money is a deeply emotional issue, and that the solution to your financial problems is actually love. And that's actually a very loving approach to yourself to paying off debt. Because it's taking care of your own emotional needs.
And it's being honest with your emotional needs tied to that money. And many people don't do that. They never
They're like,
do
oh,
that.
it just shouldn't be emotional. And so, I'll just be logical about it, but it's not.
And I gave the transparent example at some point in the blog about, for me, it was a gambling debt because I had overcome a gambling addiction. And there was still like a couple $1,000s that was as a result of that spending. It wasn't like owed to a bookie or anything, but it was like on a credit card.
Gangsters weren't after you.
Yes, exactly. But the reason that I had that debt was because of that choice in my life. So that's the one that was the most empowering for me to fight because I had overcome it. And now I was paying for my mistakes. I didn't care about the car loan or the jewelry loan even. I wanted to pay off that first.
You've got a beautiful
everyone's
wife.
going to have, yes, exactly. Everyone's going to have a different emotional impact, but we're rarely honest. Like, I wouldn't have been honest with myself had we not gone through that process.
Absolutely.
That's the one that frustrates me.
So that's a brilliant approach. Now that you still have this site and that's running, and now that you're focused on doing other projects and other passions, how does what you learned through the Man vs. Debt journey impact your daily life with Courtney and your 2 kids?
It impacts us a lot because we got this question a lot when we came back from traveling. So a quick version is we sold a lot of our possessions to go travel. And then we came back from traveling and people said, okay, well, now what? And the honest truth was, as soon as we came back from traveling into the US and we rented a house and we had all this space to put stuff in, there was this pull, this tendency to go back into debt, to conform, to buy more or own more or be more than what we really wanted to be at that time. And so this is a way of answering your question and saying that there's always forces that are going to pull us in a direction. And the biggest thing that I've gotten from Man vs. Debt over the years is almost the accountability to a community. And that there is a community that emails me and says they draw inspiration from what I've wrote over the past 5 years. And that's cool, and I really am humbled to be in that position. But the truth is that writing for that site and having that be such a major part of our life is also accountability for us.
Absolutely.
Because we're far from flawless. And without that community, we would have tendencies to make more mistakes or to give in to that pressure more and more. So I like putting constructs or barriers in your life that you intentionally put there that keep you from buying into the hive mind or keep you from always going with the flow of consumerism. And for us, the biggest one is Man vs. Debt, right? Because all these posts I wrote and all these emails I get continually put my values in front of me,
Yep.
almost on a daily basis.
Yep.
So it's much easier for me to positively benefit in my life from that.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a big website or you don't have a community, you can still put those barriers in.
Yeah.
You know, how every item we take into our life, we're going to get rid of too.
Okay.
That was a barrier
That's
we used
one of
for a
your
while. Yeah. So that was something that
guidelines.
we used for. I don't know if we stick to it as well as we used to, but for a while that was a big barrier. I guess positive barrier.
Yeah.
Barrier sounds so
Boundary,
negative. Yeah.
Yeah.
but,
Or
I don't know. I
structure.
should come up with a better name for this. But for us, it was just how are we going to put constructs in our life that are going to help us fight against consumerism?
That's great.
And that's what Man vs. Debt is to us.
That's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. So check out Adam Baker's film, I'm Fine, Thanks. And if you want to learn about more money love stories, you can visit moneyalovestory.com. And when you purchase the book, you're able to join in on a free 2-hour live event with myself, founder of The Daily Worth, Amanda Steinberg, and Marianne Williamson, called A Course in Having Enough. Thank you so much, Adam.
Thank you.
I appreciate
it.
Thank you.
Thanks.